Hello. And this week, because of course, as many of you have known and many of you have been talking about, the new Netflix documentary about Madeleine McCann has been released. I thought I would do my YouTube video on the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, and it's so much to talk about it. I'd say out of all cases that have ever happened, across Britain or really worldwide, I think this one has had the most conversations, the most talks about, and definitely the most speculation about it. It's just such a known case. People learn about it when they're very young, and people think about it and talk about it just so often. And people have come up with so many theories, so there's so much to discuss and explore in it. So it's something so good to do a video about. It does have some criticism to it because there are the missing person cases. I've read about quite a few recently, but I think it's just become very well known mainly because there's so many possibilities, so many theories, just so many scenarios that could have happened. But I'll explain it to some of you in case you don't know. Kate and Jerry had been invited to dinner with some of their friends. They were on holiday in Portugal. So they went out for dinner and they decided to leave Madeline and also their twins, who were two at the time, alone in where they were staying. They were checking on them throughout their meal to see if they were okay, to see if they were still there. They were checking on them constantly, and they were apparently, I believe, locking the doors in between their visits to them. One time they came back and Madeline wasn't there anymore, and she hasn't been seen since, and she remains missing, and no one knows where she could be. Now, if I go through some theories, the first theory is that she was abducted. That could have happened. You could say, oh, what a coincidence that it manages to be that when they left her alone, an abductor was going around and was trying to get a child. It's such a coincidence, but then again, it could have happened, and the abductor could have picked her up, taken her out, and gone out, taken her somewhere, and I think now must have really killed her, because if they took her and raised her in Portugal, surely, because the case is known in Portugal as well, people would have realised, oh, she looks like Madeleine. She looks like Madeleine McCann. I know she would be 15 now, but even now, I think someone could go look at that person and go, oh, they look like Madeleine McCann. They must be her. And then be able to take her back to Kate and Jerry and return her to her family. So I think if she was abducted, I think there's very slight chance that she is alive now. Another theory is that she wandered out. I think that's probably more plausible than she was abducted, mainly because the twins weren't abducted. The twins are still alive. The twins are still with Kate and Jerry. So I don't think they would have just abducted Madeline. That's just so slight chance of that. So I think Madeline, because she was free at the time, I think she could have easily wandered out. She might have found a way. Apparently, there was a chance that a window or something at the back wasn't locked. So I think there's quite a big chance that, being a 3-year-old, I think this could have easily happened. She got up. She found somewhere that she could escape. She then escaped. Might have even gone out to look for her parents, and then she might have wandered away, and she might have fell into an accident and might have been killed there. She might have even found a family. And people are so against thinking that she's alive, but she could be alive. She could have found a family, and family could have raised her. Like I say, I think it is known in Portugal, so I think they would have returned her. And I think by surely somehow or another they would have told Madeline that she's not biologically related to them. And then I think she would be able to work out that then she would have at least wanted to know who her family is, and I think she'd be able to work out that she is Madeleine McCann. And also, I think at least until she was like 7 or 8, she would have remembered walking out of the building, or at least something with her biological family. I think she would have remembered at least something. So, I don't know, possibly not. I think I hate to have to say it, and I know many people do believe this. There is a high chance that her parents could have killed her, or as many people have been apparently saying over the last couple of days, is that they could have hired, yeah, got someone to kill her, and then they took her away. Especially as there was a sighting. I think the Tanner family, who were with the McCanns eating, they saw someone carrying a young child and possibly in the same clothing that Madeleine was in when Kate and Jerry left her. So that person could have easily have been asked to do it by Madeleine McCann's parents, and or when Madeleine McCann was checking on when Kate and Jerry were checking on her, I think they could have easily have killed her then, and then I think maybe they got someone else to pick her up and then take her. I think that's probably quite plausible because I think they're the ones who've made it so well known, and there was even apparently blood found somewhere in, I think it was in the car boot. So I think that's quite plausible as well. And to be brutally honest, they don't even look that upset in interviews and things. So I think it's just so much of a high chance that could have happened. Because, like I said, I think they were locking the doors. I think they were locking the doors in between the times of going, and plus nothing was done to the twins. So just don't see how she could have been abducted. If the twins were abducted, and if the doors were locked while they were going out in and out, and if Madeleine did wander out, where could she have wandered out? Like I said, they were locking the doors unless apparently something at the back. So I think that could have happened, but I think she would have that person that Madeleine would have grown up and eventually realised that the people she was being raised by weren't her biological parents, or and then she would have worked out that and then she would have heard about the Madeleine McCann case and worked out she was Madeleine McCann. So I just think it's likely that her parents either killed her or they got someone to abduct her and then kill her. I just hate to have to say it, but I just think it's a high chance. Yeah, so I've gone quite a bit longer this time than 5 minutes usual because there is so much to explore in it, and I did speak quite a bit at the start. But yeah, so yeah, it's a big case, and I'd recommend possibly watching a documentary to see if there's any more clues you could hear about, and just maybe that might make it a bit more solvable and a bit more obvious maybe what happened. So yeah, I might do some missing person cases, maybe a few of the less well-known ones. I know about one in America that was quite well-known, about John Burnett Ramsey, who was killed, and just still killed about 20 years ago, still unknown who may have killed her. So, yeah, or I might do some other missing person cases. There are a few which are a little bit less talked about, but some of it I've read about recently, so could do some of them later. And of course, there's a suggestion box down below if you want anything like that. I'll do it for you. So thank you for tuning in this week, and see you next week.